Hi, my name's Dave Annell. Welcome to the second episode of Setting the Record Straight. I want to talk a bit more about really bad digitisation, what it is and what it looks like. And the first thing to say is that it isn't just about mistranscription. That's a part of it, but only a small part. What it's more about is an overall lack of understanding on the part of the commercial genealogical websites of what it is they're actually dealing with. It's when there seems to be no intellectual control over the data set. I'll try to explain what I mean. In episode 1, we had a look at Ancestry's London Probate Index, so let's have a look at it in a bit more detail. I'm searching here for the will of a man called Ronyon Ward, who died in 1580 in the Essex parish of Nazing. This is his burial here recorded in the Nazing parish register. Well, you might think it's strange to be looking in a London probate database to find the will of someone who lived and died in Essex, but that's an issue perhaps for a future episode. So what I'm going to do is a very simple search on the London Probate Index, and we'll run that. I'll just put in the first name Ronyon and the last name Ward, and I'll run that search. And as you can see, there are no results. Well, it's not perhaps surprising because the first name is quite unusual and probably quite susceptible to mistranscription. So the point is, though, that I know from this wonderful index here, this published index to the Commissary Court of London Wills, which was compiled by people who actually know what they're doing, that there is a will. His will is recorded. You can see it on this page, a digital image of the page here. Ronyon Ward, a labourer of Nazing in Essex, and it tells me that the will was proved in 1582. So I should, in theory, be able to find that. So what I can do is just strip out the name Ronyon here, and I'm going to put in the event as 1580. I'm going to put 1582 plus or minus a year. That's to allow for the problems with the conversion from the Julian to the Gregorian calendar. We'll just run that search again, and this time we can see we have Guyon Ward, who is almost certainly the person we're looking for. So I'll click on that image and we'll view it, and we can see, yeah, fair enough, it is in fact Ronyon Ward. They've mistranscribed that quite hideously, I think, because even though it's a difficult name, that's clearly not a G, that is an R at the start of the word. I would allow them to have mistranscribed it perhaps with a B, but Bunyan Ward or something would have been acceptable as a mistranscription, but it's pretty bad to have got that as Guillaume. But anyway, the second point here is if we scroll down, we will see that the will comes to an abrupt end. So what we want to do is to look to turn the page over digitally, as it were, because of course there are two sides to every piece of paper. But here, as you can see, this is image 1 of 1. So we've got a bit of a problem because what we want to do is to view the next page. Well, there is a trick here. What I'm going to do is go up to the URL at the top, and I'm going to strip out everything from the question mark onwards, and we're going to change that to image 49. And when we run that, we can see here it is, the reverse, the second page, as it were, the reverse of the will, and this is the remainder of the will here together with the probate clause. And you can see that it says here that it's proved on the 14th day of the month of March in 1581. That's the Julian calendar. The Gregorian calendar would be 1582. So the published index has listed that as a 1582 will. Here it's captured as 1581. Not a huge problem, but it's something that we need to just be aware of. So I just want to take a look at a couple more problems with this database. There's a reference. We can actually find a reference. If we just go back to the page that we started on, we'll see here that there is a reference of sorts, MS 9172 11A will number 45. Not a bad archival reference, really. The problem is it doesn't tell us which probate court we're actually looking at. So if we scroll down here into the section about the database, we can see that MS 9172 is the Commissary Court of London. So we can find out that information, but we have to go looking for it a bit. The other major problem that really concerns me is that what they've done is they've digitally rearranged the wills, destroying their original archival context. So here, all the wills proved in 1581, where the testator's surname begins with a W, or at least has been transcribed as beginning with a W, which is not necessarily the same thing, have been sorted here together, regardless of which court the will was actually proved in. Now, in my mind, this is, archivally speaking, a criminal offence, and just one more sign that they really don't know what they're doing. Thanks very much for listening. Look out for episode 3 of Setting the Record Straight coming soon. If you want to keep up to date, just click on the subscribe button on my YouTube channel. Thank you.